the I am second film. It's 9 minutes. It's a good one to pull up to watch real quick before the interview.
Okay.
It'll really stimulate you for coaching.
In 4 years, I accumulated 27 mugshots. I was about to go to prison for a long time. They transferred me to a aggravated assault tank. I wasn't supposed to be there. I would just pace and pace and pace. And this old man says, man, they're gonna chew you off the bone. The doors are closed, and then something happened.
Amazing. I love that track.
Yeah. It's only like the second or third time I've watched it. I have a hard time watching it.
It gives me chills to watch that. Hey y'all, welcome to Silver Lining. And I have Michael with me today. Welcome, Michael.
Lorraine, good to see you.
Oh, you as well, always.
I'm so excited. I was so excited when you called me, and I'm honored. I was like, wow, I'm ready to do this.
Awesome. Well, thank you for agreeing to come. I was, like I was telling you earlier, I was kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of chicken to ask Michael to come.
Why's that?
I don't know. I mean, look at you.
Dude,
I mean, your show is amazing.
Well, I'm just a little BB in a big stack of BBs.
Yeah, but
so.
M2 rocks.
M2 the Rock.
M2 the Rock is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I love when I watch what you're doing on there. You want to talk about what you do on your M2
so
Rock?
you know we it's amazing because M2 the Rock, it wasn't designed. I didn't sit down and make this business plan that I'm going to start this show called M2 the Rock. You know, it was all created by God, and it was you know, a result of my past and what it was like, and you know what happened and what's my life like today. And you know I'm a recovering drug addict, alcoholic, and you know my last time I had a drink or a drug was May 29th, 2017. And, you know, if they would have released me on, you know, May 30th, 2017, I would have drank and used again. But it took having a spiritual awakening while I was incarcerated after my 27th mugshot. You know, I'm a slow learner.
That's a lot of mugshots.
Yeah, I got, for some reason, I have a high threshold to pain. You know what I mean? So,
yes.
But I had a spiritual awakening while incarcerated, and you know, I realized I kept hitting this deal called, you know, rock bottom. You know, this rock. We hear about that. I hit rock bottom, and you know, I finally realized that the rock at the bottom at all these times was God. And my name's Michael Molthan, so it's MM, so M2, the Rock, and so it just kind of happened naturally. And you know, when I got released miraculously, and you know, traveled over 300 miles by foot to turn myself in, you know, I was pardoned, and and you know, the local media picked it up, and iHeartRadio picked it up, and all I did was just share my story, and I keep sharing my story and reading to people, and it's just turned out I'm sitting here with you today. So it's all been about attraction, not promotion.
Of course.
You know, it's like you calling me. We don't have a team that goes out there and says, hey, we're promoting Michael Molthan into the Rock.
Right.
This is our price list if you want him to come.
Yes.
Everything that you've seen and see on social media and on TV has all been about attraction, not promotion. So.
Well, that's what we know.
Right.
You know, it's the way I carry myself. You see something in me and you might want it.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been taught. Let's talk about, you know, how you got started with what you're doing. Where did that begin?
That's a great question. You know, when I was incarcerated this last time, you know, I was very scared. I was you know, they put me in what's called an aggravated assault tank, you know, and which was a mistake, but yet now I look at it, it wasn't. You know, I was a drug addict, alcoholic, runner, you know, probation, you know, I stole stuff, but I never put hands on people. I never did that. But So I get in this aggravated assault tank with murderers, and they're doing life. I mean, people getting killed right in front of me, and it was just rock and roll. And I was in this 4x9 cell, and I'd be locked up for 22 hours of the day, and be able to move around. But when I moved around, I couldn't sit still. And I was very quiet. And I had to get. It was scary at first, but I just gave up. But I'm white, I'm proper, and I walk into this environment where I'm the minority,
right.
And I walk in this environment, and so they thought I was gay or a cop. They didn't know because I was just so proper, and so I was very quiet. But I would move around. I would just pace and pace and pace because I was just so nervous. I couldn't get out of my head, and I had this 75-year-old. Celly, my cellmate, and when they called him Ooh-wee, and he literally pulled me in, and they called me Rabbit, and he said, "Hey, Rabbit, let me tell you something. They're going to chew you off the bone because you're going to prison, because your judge has had it with you." And I said, "What do you mean I'm out in that world?" And he says, "You're out in that world. You're doing hard time." And what he was really saying was I was out in the future in my head alone. I was tripping. I was future tripping, and then I was living in the past. And then just something miraculous happened where, I took this for granted. I had no idea. I've never been around a grown man or men that could not read or write. I mean, they're like, they got it together. They got their hustle on. And I mean, they're like, they appear to be very educated, but they can't read or write. And he asked me to read to him, and it blew me away. And this guy's doing life for murder. And he's 75 years old. And I said, okay, what's the catch here? So I read to him, and then I realized that 4 days go by, and I had this sense of peace, and I wasn't out in that world anymore. I didn't realize it then. And of course, I was just reading this Bible to him. It's black words on white paper. I didn't want any part of a Bible, but it hit me that 4 days went by, and I wasn't out in the world anymore. And then I started to realize, I was in the now because I was serving someone else, expecting nothing in return. And then I had this, spiritual awakening where, the Holy Spirit. And, I use these church words now, but I'm a believer. My higher power is Christ, and I'm very committed to just show the world what He's doing in my life. I'm not this jailhouse minister. I'm not a pastor.
Right.
I don't wear that jacket.
Yes.
But I just go out and I try to show the world who Christ is by my actions.
Right.
I'm a punk. I mess up, but I realize it now. That's the cool thing. So it's kind of a long answer, but so that's what I do today is I just simply do the same thing. And there's no end to my story. It still happens. There's a reason why you called me. People need to know I've known you for a long time.
Yes.
And you've seen me come in and out and in and out. And there's a reason why I'm sitting here with you today.
And I totally can relate to that. I think wherever I'm placed, there's this one little thing in my 12-step program that I work, and I asked God to place me where He would want me to be, where I can be of service.
Right.
And for that being said, that covers a lot of grounds for me.
Right.
You mentioned that when you went to prison, that you don't know what caused these people to come to you and say, we can't read.
Right.
And taking a circumstance like that and making it where it can benefit others.
Right.
That's phenomenal.
Which it's beautiful, and before I get into this, and this is really cool how this is happening, because people need to know on your show how many people you have helped. I've seen it firsthand. I mean, you have got the most giving, gracious, grateful heart of helping people. I've seen it in action.
Thank you.
And it's what you're doing here, this show, God's got something really big happening here for you. I feel it. I couldn't wait to do this. Because it was on my heart, and I want to share it later on the show, what I'm feeling for you. But I lost my mind there, which is very rare of what I was going to say, because I want people to know that. But what's interesting is there is a I too work 12-step recovery programs, and I'm very I don't wave a certain flag, but I highly suggest if anybody's like, okay, what do I do? How do I get what you guys got?
Yes.
You know, local 12-step recovery groups, I highly endorse. They work for me.
Yes.
You know, they work for me. And, you know, there's something that I've studied, and I would hear it, and I thought it was witchcraft, but there's a thing called being rocketed to the fourth dimension, right?
Yes.
And being rocketed to the fourth dimension for me is that I see things through God's perspective. And what it is that's when we get to go into the past with God, and we get to see, I see what you were doing.
Yes.
I see why you allowed this to happen.
Yes.
You know, I see why you allowed, and this is deep. I mean, I see why you allowed my grandfather to violate me and all that, so I can share my experience for other men to raise their hands saying, you just told my story.
Yeah, because I can't share with you if I haven't had that experience.
Right.
I can only give you what I know about personally.
Right.
And sometimes things happen to us in the past and they become our biggest blessings. Like, you know, being in recovery has been my biggest blessing. But had you asked me this 12 years ago, that's the worst thing that could possibly have happened to me.
Right.
Because when you're in the mix of it, you can't see it.
Right.
You got to get through it in order to see the blessing of it.
And how do you get through it?
One day at a time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Right.
One day at a time. And, you know, and sometimes it's a struggle. Nobody told me just because I got sober, everything would be great. It doesn't happen like that, because I no longer have, I call drug and alcohol a Band-Aid. I don't have that anymore. So now I've got to deal with life.
Right.
And how do I deal with life? And I like where you mentioned, you know, that you had to get out of yourself and be of service to others. And that gets me out of myself.
Yes. And that's such a great feeling. You know, this is something cool to talk about, because that too can be an addiction, service work.
Yes.
Because I see people, I see it because I've done it. Because service work can be an addiction because we want to stay busy because we don't want to look at ourselves.
Yes.
And so what does that look like? You know, well, I'm serving others because I have motives, right? But when I'm serving I have no motives here today. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when I'm serving, expecting nothing in return, there's that sense of peace, and it puts me in the safest place in the world, and that's right here, right now, because that's where God's at.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so that's what's such a great feeling of doing that. And so, but something that I've learned from you and watching you and hearing you speak is that in a 12-step recovery group, you know, resentment, it's the number one offender. It's killing the human race.
Yes.
It's killing the human race. You look at everything that's going on in the world today, it's resentment driven.
Yes.
I mean, and so what is the solution to resentment? Well, if I have a resentment, it's because I play a role in it. I play a role. My part.
I have a part.
And looking and accepting the part that I play in things, and the difficult things. Like, you mean I played a part in my grandfather molesting me? I did. I chose to hold on to the resentment.
Right.
And
you didn't have a part in it as a child.
Right.
But as an adult, you now have a part in it. And
right.
That's where a lot of people, we don't get that.
Right.
But now you have a part. It's how you carrying it on into your adulthood.
That's correct. And you know how why do I get it now? Because step 3 is I made a decision to turn my will and life over to the care of God.
Yes.
And so once I start looking, once again, everything through the rocket to the fourth dimension through God's perspective, I'm like, I see what you're doing.
Yes.
I see what doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not you, God.
Yes.
I got to take the cotton out of my ears and put it in my mouth going, God, why are you allowing this to happen?
There's a reason. I love step 3, turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him,
right.
understand him. I recently started relating will is my thinking, and my life is my action.
Yeah.
So when I make it, I have to dumb size it for me sometimes.
Yes.
So I can, when I'm going through everyday life, when I'm going through something, I can look at it that way.
Right.
And where is my will, which is my thinking, aligning up to God's?
Right.
And that helps me a lot throughout the day.
Right.
When I can get back on that, then, I've got a little chance
Right.
of correcting whatever it is. I got all this stuff that goes on up here, and it's crazy.
Right.
So I have to downsize some things. It's like when I came into the program, I told them, I had to downsize my God.
Yeah.
He was too big.
Yeah.
What's
that look like? How do you do that?
Oh my God. You know how you go to McDonald's and they say, do you want to upgrade on that Big Mac? Well, I had to do the opposite. I had to downgrade on that Big Mac, right?
Gotcha.
And I said this in my show a lot, that, when I was a kid, we used to sing that song, and it said he's got the whole world in his hands. Mm-hmm. The world's pretty big.
It is.
Right? So where do I fit in?
Right.
Little bitty me. So today I know if he can carry the whole world on his shoulders, he can carry this little bitty person right here on his shoulders.
Amen.
That
Amen.
he's got me.
Yeah.
So I had to come and be amongst a lot of alcoholics, I can't talk, and addicts, in order to realize what those things that I was taught in church really meant.
Right.
Like when you say you went to prison and these people that you're so different from, you guys are the ones that brought me to God.
Right.
Because I didn't know how that looked. I would go to church on Sundays, and I left him in church.
Yes.
And then I go back on Sundays. You guys taught me that, Lorene, he goes everywhere with you. You don't leave him any place. You take him with you.
Right.
So you mentioned earlier about people using recovery as something like scapegoat, not to live. I used to do that.
Yeah, we stay busy because we don't want to look at ourselves.
Didn't want to look at myself.
It happens with everyone. I mean, it happens in the church and all that. And and I always say this before when I speak. I say a couple things when I get up to speak. Is that first of all, I drank alcohol and did drugs for the effect.
Yes,
that's it. And that's true recovery there. It's not because I was dealt a bad deck. If you had my life, you do this. No, that's active addiction, right? That's selfish.
Right.
I drank for the effect. And, when it comes to religion, I'm an agnostic, okay? But when it comes to the Word of God and the gospel and the Bible, for me, I'm all in. Yes. I have to have the truth. I've got to have that because I'll never achieve it, but I want to know what the truth is.
Yes.
I am a huge, huge Dr. Tony Evans man.
Me too.
Okay, so that's,
oh my goodness.
He's a big part of my story. And his book is the book that was given to me when I was incarcerated, the book Detours, and it talks about the story of Joseph. And what Pastor Evans is so good at is there's no gray. It's right down the middle. And I love how he says, what is addiction? And first of all, he says, addiction is the street name for spiritual stronghold. Okay, we're all addicts. Okay, we all suffer with
something.
Yeah, and so what is it? Addiction is it's a person, it's a place, it's a thing, and here's the scary one, or a thought that has become my source. It's powerful, and right there, that sums it up that we are all addicts. And so when I start reaching out for people, places, things, or my thoughts become my source, I'm usually isolating. I'm alone in my head, and I'm trying to change the way I feel because something deep inside of me is wrong. And guess where it all stems from? Fear. Fear.
Yes.
I'm making up stories in my head that aren't true.
And only I can see them. But I want you to be able to see them. Don't you know how I want you to see me?
Lorene, I need you to co-sign on my resentment.
Yes.
I need you to tell me it's okay to be upset.
Yes.
And to have that person to say, what role are you playing in this? What's the real problem here? The real problem is I'm trying to play God.
Yes.
I'm spiritually disconnected.
Yeah, I didn't know what playing God was until I got into a 12-step program.
Right.
I didn't know how much I played.
Right.
I tried to. You know,
And he'll let you.
yeah.
He'll let you.
Yeah,
'cause
until it's okay enough. We're
Yeah.
done with that.
Yeah. One thing that, part of my story is I always say, God allowed me to have all the control I wanted for everything to become completely out of control, for me to hit my knees and turn to him to realize I never had control in the first place. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it
Yeah.
takes so much pain for us to surrender.
Because I used to struggle with that, especially the third step.
Right.
Because I struggled with that because I thought I'm not done.
Right.
And I didn't realize, well, it's not, you're not controlling anything anyway.
Right.
You just think you're in control.
Right.
You're not controlling anything.
Right.
So you mentioned agnostic. I get, some people get, we talk about our program, some people get it quickly, I get it slowly. And I always say, here I am, I'm
Me
the
too.
slow one.
Me too.
Because once that light bulb goes off for me, it's like, that's what that means.
Right.
And I get this, I don't know, I can't explain it to you, this feeling. And I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about.
Well, and the reason why, my personal experience, the reason why I got it, it took so long and it was slowly for me. What does that mean? What's that look like? Is because it took so long for me to get from my head to my heart. That's what that was it 18 inches, it took 48 years for me to get from my head to my heart.
Yes.
And that was a journey. But the great thing is that 18 inches right there, I get to share what happened within that 18 inches to help someone else, that
Yes.
maybe it can narrow it down to, quickly. They say high bottom, low bottom. I mean, I was like, it was low,
Yes.
low for me. So it's, that's where when I'm in my head alone, there's no God. There's just no God. And and I know the great thing about recovery and being a believer, or however you want to call it, is that I recognize it today.
Yes.
I never could
Yes.
recognize it. I was always trying to fix it myself. And that's the beautiful thing,
Yeah.
is recognizing it.
Yes.
So.
You can't fix something that you don't know that you have.
Right.
One thing about this program that I love too is I was so many different people. 5 people would not describe Lorene as this in the same way.
Right.
And my friend today, she says, you know what? I watch you interact with people. You're always the same with everybody.
Yeah.
We talk about the Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah, Mr. Hyde.
Oh, yes. And that was me.
Yeah.
I had
And
to
I catch
mimic.
myself sometimes doing it today.
It's because you're the subconscious mind only knows learned behavior.
Right.
So when I'm at odds with myself, that I go back to what makes me comfortable.
Right.
So today I can recognize when I'm going there.
Right.
That's the beauty part of it. You guys didn't tell me that I was going to be perfect.
Right.
And washed white as snow. That's
Right.
kind of impossible here.
Right.
But you told me that I did not have to live the life the way I was living.
Right.
That I could have some tools.
Right.
And it was up to me what I would do with those tools.
Right.
So it's a lot easier for me today when I know that I'm going through something.
Right.
To realize that, this is just a feeling right now. And feelings pass,
Right.
whether they're good or whether they're bad.
Right.
It's a feeling, and
It's how we handle it today.
it's how I handle
Yeah.
it. That's important.
And that's what I have so much respect for you in that aspect. I want to flip this on you. I know this is your show, but I told you before we started filming that I had some questions for you because the Spirit really led me to do this, and it's questions that I ponder in my head because I look at things differently now through God's perspective, and I'm like, where's the opportunity here? How I can help another person? When I was incarcerated, as being the minority, I see everybody as a human being, but I was I was the minority, and this family that God gave me, that I was surrounded with, and I miss them to this day. I mean, I really miss them. I mean, these are people who planned and plotted to kill people, but I just saw something different in them, living with them. They were, they had wrecked lives, and what they did was wrong, and they admitted it, and they're trying, a new life, and then recovery. And I've noticed that they're very engaged and very focused on their recovery in when incarcerated. Then I started recognizing that when I got released and I started getting into the world of recovery and in the rooms and 12-step support group meetings, that the African American community, I don't see it. I'm looking around, and when I do see it, it's males. I see very few females in the African American community attending recovery group meetings. Is that an accurate observation?
It is, very.
And help me with this, because you're so powerful, and I wanted to bring that up because, like I said, God's got something big happening here, that you can be this light saying,
it is.
Come on in. I mean, what am I seeing here?
It is with a lot, well, this is just my opinion only, because I can't speak for everyone, but I think we're such caretakers. In the female, you mentioned that my thing is I don't see a lot of females, period, in the rooms. And
that's accurate.
And very few black women.
Right.
So you're right with that, because a lot of times we raise that what goes on in the house stays in the house.
Okay.
And we don't talk about it. So that was my experience.
Yeah.
It was hard for me in the beginning to open up, because I don't want you to think that it's not everything. I like looking a certain way, and I want you to think inside I feel that way too.
Right.
But I can really be hurting inside. But I don't want to acknowledge that.
Right.
Because when I see a sister come into the rooms, I gravitate towards her. Yeah. Because I want her to know this is a safe place. Because when I came to Addison, I don't think it was too many black women in there.
And like my main point of this is that's where, because I travel the country, and speak, and I attend support group meetings, and I'm very observant. I did that when I was in real estate and all that. It's real. I'm always searching that if I have, if I'm building homes in this neighborhood, well, I've already got this neighborhood. I want to go try a different area where I want to, it's easy. I always like to hang out in piles where no one knows me.
Right.
Why hang out with everybody knows me? Because I can't build. God can't use me if I'm hanging out. And that's what I'm talking. So I make these observations, and it's like, the Asian community, the, the Muslim community, and all of this. It's a very specific, it's just we both see it, it's an observation. And so my question is why, what can I do personally to make groups and church more open and friendly and all that? And you touched on something that's really interesting that I've heard before, because I've asked this question before, even when I was incarcerated, is that you call it culture, whatever it is, it's an upbringing where, hey, this is the way I raised you. When you walk out of this house, you put those walls up.
Yes.
You don't let them see you hurt.
Right.
And I get that too.
As alcoholics and addicts.
Right.
That we already have that. So if you reinforce that with a woman that's already strong-willed, on top of that, that's what you get. It's like
that'll kill her.
It will. And that's another reason why I wanted to start my show here. Is I want people to see there's help. There's no shame. Right. Because there's a lot of people that aren't coming into a 12-step room. Right. And perhaps, there's a different way to get the message out. Right. And that was my thought behind Silver Lining. Yeah. I want to... We're always revolving, and we're always growing, and we're always learning to do new things. Right. So let's branch out and do something more. Right. If that's possible. Right. Because right now, and you know this for yourself too, Michael, that the 12-step rooms are full. Yeah. I mean, with COVID came, it was like boom.
Yeah.
It hit us really hard.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that don't know that there's places. There's so many different 12 steps that you can use.
Right.
And there's people that you can reach out. Plus, I wanted them to see faces like your face, my face, and other people that say, hey, if they could do it, why can't I?
We're just human beings being human.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not make it so complicated, like it's a secret.
Right.
You know, no, it's not a secret.
Right.
It's like there's help and there's people that are willing to help.
Right.
You know, so that was one of the big reasons behind silver lining. And
it touches on like Into the Rock. You know, it started out, and I never intended it for it to be about. It's still not today. It's not about addiction and recovery. It's about hope.
Yes.
It's about people sharing their experience, strength, and hope on simply this. What was your life like? You know, how did you get into acting and all that? And what happened? You know, what happened in your life that was this big awakening that got you to the next level? And what are you doing today to maintain that?
And that's a big thing, maintaining.
Yes.
And
maintaining that is service.
Yes.
You know, and you know, and working at a food shelter and all that. I used to think of service work as like, I don't want to go to a food shelter. You know, it's the visual I would get, and it's important. You know, that's great stuff. But service work can simply be taking time out of the day and just saying, you know what, I'm thinking about Lorene. Hey, Lorene, I text you. How are you doing today? Or
Simple
service
as
work.
that.
Just simple as that.
Simple
and
as
saying,
that.
hey, you're on my heart today.
Yes.
And just text it, because who knows? I don't know what you're going through.
That makes you feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
And expecting nothing in return.
Expecting nothing.
You know, because expectations set us up for resentments, which is the number one offender that's killing the human race.
Because I think you either think like me.
Right. That's exactly right.
And
so
if you don't, I get resentful.
That's exactly right. So life. I'm learning that life is very simple, but I complicate it. You know, I complicate it. And the reason why I love doing what you and I are doing, and I hope you can relate to this, as we've been talking, I haven't once gone into the future in my head alone.
I know.
And I haven't gone into the past in my head alone.
Yes.
And the reason why is because we're serving, hoping someone hears this, and we're in the now.
Yes.
We're right here, right now. You're a great interviewer.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
thank
beautiful.
you.
And so it is a, you know, I hate talking about, I mean, I love sharing my story, but I hate talking about me. We get thousands of messages on social media through Into the Rock. And the most common thing that we get is, you know, my husband, my wife, my daughter, my son, my loved one needs help with addiction. Will you please call them and help them? Well, we have a standard reply, but no. You know, they have to reach out and do it. That's what it took for me.
Yes. And people don't understand that.
No. And step one is, you know, we admitted that we were powerless over blank, which is alcohol, drugs, porn, gambling, whatever it is, our thoughts, that our life has become completely unmanageable. Well, powerless and unmanageable, I got honest with that, but I kept drinking and using. All right? True honesty, and this is a message for the people who message and all of this, true honesty is, for me, is simply this: I don't know why I'm doing this. Help me. I don't know why I'm drinking and doing drugs. I don't know why, Lorene, that when I wake up in the morning, I look at myself and I say, I'm not drinking today. And I mean it. And I'm drinking at noon.
Yes.
Why am I doing this? And it's okay to ask that question to someone in recovery.
Yes.
Someone that can't relate to alcoholism or drug addiction, they're going to say this: just don't do it.
So simple. Why can't you stop?
Yeah, why just don't open the can of beer and drink it?
Yeah, it's not that simple.
No, because it's the reason. I mean, that's just a symptom.
It's with step one, and here's another one of these little things that it took me, I think, a year in the program before it hit. And someone, and the way I got it was someone mentioned it, because I might have been doing something, going around. I'm always asking people stuff.
Right.
Stupid stuff too. And he said to me, the way you know that you are an alcoholic is, you know how you drink water and you get full? Well, with alcohol, you never get full.
Mm-hmm.
You want more, more, more. And I got that, but I couldn't get, I'm powerless over alcohol. And it's like, what does that mean?
Right.
But when he explained it to me that way, I had to remember, oh, that's right, because my sides can be really hurting from all that drinking, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But I still keep going.
Right.
And then you have people that say, well, I can't be one because I don't drink every day.
Right.
It has nothing to do with that. When you start up, can you stay stopped?
Right.
Because, in the 12-step program, we cannot label anyone as being alcoholic.
Right.
You have to do it.
Right.
You have to do it.
Well said.
And it has to be complete honesty with yourself.
That's right.
To say, you know what, this isn't right.
Right.
Other people can tell you that all day long, but you have to do it.
Right.
And once I did that, it was like, okay, now maybe I can do something about it.
Right.
And that's where the work comes in.
So also when people reach out and ask for help, why is it so important that men work with men and women work with women?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, they changed that.
Okay.
Yeah. So because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just another alcoholic talking to another alcoholic.
Huh.
Only
even walking them through the steps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's changed. So
well, good.
Yeah, I know about the 12-step program that I'm in.
Right.
I don't know about any other ones, but yeah, that's changed.
Oh,
so,
good. Okay,
yeah.
well, good. We'll have to touch on that on another show.
Yeah. And I
you know what?
love
I'm gonna
that.
do this right here. I'm gonna put it on blast right now. I'm feeling led by the Spirit. I think you and I ought to do a show once a month.
Really?
I really do.
I would love that.
I'm telling you, I think that this is amazing because I don't know if you know this, but Into the Rock, once again, they came to us. Our show is on every single tablet in every single prison.
Are you kidding?
So, I mean,
that's amazing.
So this show we're doing here will be downloaded on the tablets on every prison. And so they'll be able, so it's another way that we get to get your message from a female side, into behind the walls, that they can hear that, not only to
I would love to do that. It would be an honor.
Well, we
do that
it's got great dialogue, and we can have healthy conversations.
Yes.
We can cross those. They're barriers to the world. They're not barriers to you and me. Because it's all about one alcoholic, one drug addict. It's all about one sinner helping another.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can talk about all that.
Yeah. We mentioned about the fourth step and about not having any part of, because when we work that step, it's like, what was your part?
Yeah.
And
lay out the fourth step for our viewers who don't know anything we're talking about.
The fourth step is where you write down your resentment. It's the inventory part of the 12
So we made a fearless and searching moral inventory of our immoral behaviors, basically. But we also get to see what we're good at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's like we say in the program, you cannot clean house without taking an inventory.
Right. And we can't make amends.
What you got.
We can't make amends to anybody until we know why we did the things we did.
And people struggle with that one because they don't want to do it. That's when they 1, 2, 3 and they out.
Right.
What they don't realize, what I didn't realize is in the beginning, and with the reason I struggle with it, I've already went through that shit.
Right.
Ain't nobody asking me to do anything new.
Right.
And that's what I try to tell the people that I work with. Not asking you to do anything new. I just need you to write down what you done. But one word that I use with them, I tell them, I need you to paint me a picture because I wasn't there.
Right.
So I need to see exactly what happened. And when I use that word, it's like they get it.
Yeah.
I want details.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're saying that we write down our fears and our resentments against people, places, things, institutions, anything. And so I heard something really cool. I heard a speaker in Florida share, and he touched on something, because a lot of people, me including, in early recovery, step 2, we get some hope. And when we start getting hope, we start feeling, I'm getting better. No, I'm detoxing. I'm physically feeling better, but I still can't answer the question why I drank and did drugs. That's where in step 4, we get to find out why we did it.
That's the work.
That's right. That's
action.
That's the action.
Yeah.
And I also tell people, I don't want to do the dreaded 4th step. Well, when we do step 3 correctly, step 4 is easy.
Yes.
Because we've surrendered.
Yes.
I don't care, Lorraine. I'm ready to get it all out there.
Yeah. If you hurt him bad enough, you'll get it out there.
Yes.
I heard you guys say in the program, and share with me your experience on this. The men always talk about, after they do the 3rd step, they pray with whoever,
with their mentor, sponsor.
Yeah. And I've never did do that, but I love listening to some speakers that I listen to. I love these guys, right? And one of them said the reason he does that is he knows that his person is getting it done.
Right.
So yesterday I was going through, I finished up the 3rd step, and for the first time I prayed with my person.
Oh.
And it was amazing.
Awesome.
Yes, and I'm not an emotional person by no means.
I think you are. I think y'all mark my words. I'm going to make her cry on the show.
Oh, that's a challenge right there. But we should put some bids up for that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I felt some sort of way, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
So, I would start doing that from now on.
That's beautiful.
So, but I never heard females do that. I don't know whether... I just heard you guys saying it all the time.
Well, it's the only way to do the steps wrong is not doing them.
Yes.
That's it.
It's not a wrong or right way.
Yeah, and
I totally agree.
And it's not when we work all 12 steps we're finished. There's no such word as graduating. We have to it's a daily deal.
Yes.
Yes. Thank God. If I knew that recovery was easy, I'd be drunk and high right now, and I'd come check in on Monday. I'll come in Monday.
Because you don't have a choice when you're going to come back.
Exactly.
You might not make it back.
Exactly.
So that's the scary part.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a, but step 3 happened for me. My awakening, and I had this spiritual bright light experience, and it happened. And once that happened, I flew through the 12 steps. Once I got released and with sponsor, and I just reworked the 12 steps again. I've recently gone through a relationship breakup, which was new, but it's a growing opportunity for me. And it is just, I'm so much stronger today. There's no resentments. I want everybody to win.
Yes.
And I'm just in such a good place today of peace and hope.
Awesome.
And then doing stuff like this with you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're going to wrap it up.
All right.
And I just want you to know how much this means to me.
And vice versa.
Oh my goodness.
I'm telling you, we need to do this.
We will.
This is something that, and once again, if I'm going to put this show on my platforms.
Okay.
That way everybody can see it.
Yes.
And I'm going to take a picture one day with my normie shirt. I can't wait for my normie shirt.
Oh, I'm going to have to bring it to.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm in another vehicle. I just remembered.
That's okay.
But I got
you get it to me. I just.
Well, we're going to get back together anyway.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got you.
All right.
What do you wear? A medium? You got to show those muscles. You need a medium.
Yeah, give me a medium or large. But thank you so much, Lorraine. God bless you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're the real deal.
I feel like you're interviewing me about. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, we had a conversation.
Yes. Thanks, guys, for joining us on Silver Lining, and it was an honor having Michael here today. And we will see you next time. And have a great day.